Well, a lot of you out there are really waiting for the disclosure. Extraterrestrials, do they exist or not? Well, frankly, I think we have received our first alien sighting. And no, not from outer space, but a lab-created genderless alien living in Los Angeles, California. Now, this is 22-year-old Vinny O. He has spent more than $50,000 on over 100 procedures to transform into a genderless alien, with plans to have his genitals, nipples, and belly button removed next. Owen Schroyer, now you've been kind of on a body shaming kick here and just asking questions about, you know, what the heck is going on with people. So we don't want to be racist, sexist, homophobic, bigoted, and xenophobic or anything like that. But what the hell is going on? Why do we have plastic surgeons who are willing to allow people to explore? Here's what he says. He's like, I already had a big forehead, you know, and I don't really feel like I need my sexual organs. I could live without sex either way. So why do I need a penis or a vagina? He's an art. That's art. That's art. You look confused. He just wanted to explore it. Like, but what's going to happen after he explores it and then he goes, you know what? I'm done being an alien.
I don't know if there's any coming back from that, but I think the reason it goes on is because you have plastic surgeons that are probably willing to take money from people, that are willing to hand it over to them for whatever surgery they want. Who knows where that will end up.
Surgeons willing to chop people's legs off because they feel like they are in the wrong body because they are an amputee. Well, and to be honest with you, not to get off on a jag, but I think the whole Snapchat with putting the animal faces on you, I think that could lead eventually to trans-species surgery. Who knows? All these kids that want to grow up and be dogs or something, now I guess they want to be aliens. But no, the thing about it is, to me, Leanne, I mean, look, honestly, I don't care what you do with your body. If you do something like that, don't be surprised if people look at you weird in public. But my issue is that it's being pushed so much in the mainstream media. You know, like the one girl that everyone was mad at me for fat shaming, and I kind of feel bad. I didn't mean to fat shame her. It was just the fact that they were praising this girl for nothing, for just going out there and putting herself out on there with her underwear on and trying to, I don't know what the right word is, but they want to make it normal. To just put yourself out there in your bra and panties.
And now it's no matter how abnormal you are, they just want to make it normal. If you're a genderless alien now, let's normalize that. Yeah,
don't judge and be a racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobe. But the thing is that it's, even with this, allowing people to do what they want, to feel as though they're their true selves, you're still putting value on the outer appearance. And that is the issue I think you're kind of talking about as well, is that it's, people aren't working on their inner person and their inner spirit, stuff that doesn't fade. It's all about your outer appearance, even with your body positivity movement.
It's really just more, if this is going to be a story, it's the angle that they're taking. It's not like, okay, this is weird. Like you brought this to me like, hey, look at all this weird stuff that's going on. Let's tie it with some of the other weird stuff that we see going on. They take it and they're like, wow, look at this. This is human individualism. This needs to be praised. We need to put this into the mainstream. And then kids see this, the youth see this, and if the parents aren't engaged, who knows where the children's mind might go with this? I mean, I've got this story here. Human Ken doll undergoes 51st plastic surgery procedure. I'm a perfectionist. And you look at this guy, and I mean, okay, if that's what you're into, then that's what you're into. That's perfectly fine.
The guy almost like lost his nose, I thought I had heard, because he'd had so many surgeries, similar to what happened with Michael Jackson, where he just didn't have enough meat and flesh there to stay onto his face. I mean, what the heck? At a certain point, are the doctors culpable in this?
I just don't want to see this go mainstream. Again, I'm a libertarian, if you want to say, and to me, do whatever you want with your body. But when they start to inject this into the mainstream, that's when I think it becomes an issue. Because again, the mind of a youth is very impressionable. And they can see stories like this, and maybe they're in a hard time in their life, maybe they're getting bullied, and maybe they think that this is the answer.
And
it's simply
will
not.
Fix it, or
it's not the answer.
Exactly.
And look, and we've got all of these other stories too that kind of show how this is being, how the youth is being indoctrinated into this. In England, sex education to be made compulsory in all schools in England. Government confirms they're going to start doing that at age 4. And then the government's going to decide what is considered age-appropriate sex education. I mean, how is that the government's job? You've got Disney. At age 4, exactly. What are they going to be showing you, a genderless alien now because it's tolerant? Disney puts gay scene in Beauty and the Beast. So again, it's like, okay, whatever, I don't care. But it's the fact they're trying to normalize this. There was no gay scene in the original Beauty and the Beast. They're only doing this because they have to inject it in there. I don't know why, if this is some sort of thing that they want people to see homosexuality, or if they think it'll cause some sort of a buzz about the movie, but they just have to put this in the mainstream. And that's what bothers me.
Right. And of course, just you have to be so accepting, loving, and not say, are you okay? Like, you're beautiful just as you are. You don't need a nose job. You don't need to transform your entire body with plastic surgery. That's not allowed because you might hurt someone's feelings, especially your 7-year-old child. God forbid you try to get him some counseling. No, if he wants to chop his peenie off and be a girl, well, go do that. That's why we have schools in North Bend Public Library in Oregon is actually offering Adulting 101. These are classes to teach coddled millennials how to cook meals, file taxes, get a job, how to move out of the house. I mean, that just goes to show you where we are living in when your parents they don't have the time, attention, whatever, to explain to you how to set a budget or cook a meal or do anything. That is why we are living in such jacked up place.
I think that this is great, actually. And it's funny because you talk about education in America. These are things these are not included in our education. People don't learn how to make a budget. People don't learn how to do their taxes. Some states, they don't teach you how to drive a car. I mean, these are things that you need to know.
No, you need to know about genderless aliens. You need to know about the 77 genders that is key.
Thank you. That's a great point.
Material.
I don't need my kid to learn about how to balance a budget or do their taxes. Just make sure that they know all 57 genders. Hey, did you know they might not know all 50 states, but they better know all 57 genders. Okay, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, otherwise you have committed a hate crime, which when you see all this going on.
But that is funny because it is true. Most people don't ever actually learn that.
It's true. That's the thing. And that's why so many, with this whole school choice, I would want to rip my child out of a school that emphasized the gender studies versus actual tools that you need to exist and thrive in the present day, which is why we see AI scientists gathering to plot doomsday scenarios and solutions, but they're all getting together. These are researchers and cybersecurity experts, policy wonks asking themselves, what could possibly go wrong? They know they're in an industry where they're basically going to be building the brave new world. So now they're kind of mapping out they're wargaming some different scenarios of what could possibly happen. Doesn't mean they're going to stop. They are full steam ahead with this. As they're talking now, artificial human life could soon be grown in a lab after they had an embryo breakthrough. So we won't even need gender anymore. They're just bringing us into this future. But frankly, after that, we won't even need humans anymore because they're already working on robots that will replace humans. They've already reported that, sex between a man and a woman, a husband and wife, will be saved for only special occasions because you'll be doing it with your sex bots. Now scientists are calling for robots to be made with real human flesh that actually sweats. So this is very much like Westworld, living in the simulation with the 3D printing.
And what they're going to do with this, they're going to do the same thing. It's all to dehumanize people. So it's going to be like, oh, this is a machine. It needs to have rights. You need to be tolerant of this machine. Be nice to this machine. It has feelings too. And then eventually you don't know the difference between a human and a machine. And so it's just like, oh, be tolerant and loving of everyone. There is no difference between a human being and that machine because you don't know. It might be a machine. It might be a human. I don't know if we're going to ever get there, but we're definitely seeing the moves being made. And all of this stuff is certainly strange. I mean, this is we're not in Kansas anymore stuff. People getting surgery to look like Ken dolls, look like aliens. The government decides what is age appropriate sex lessons for your kids. They're rewriting old Disney scripts to include gay scenes, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Well, just ramping everyone to be totally accepting of these robots that are going to be in need of tendon replacements, like musicians or athletes they're talking about. So they're really working on the end of human civilization. They can grow life in a lab.
It's like the movie The Surrogate.
Exactly. And this is kind of the future that they're seeing, and they think it could have devastating effects on humankind, but they are full steam ahead with this anyway. So this is the future that's upon us. And I always say robots, they don't have consciousness yet. They're really working on that. So that is our duty as humanity, is to really open up and expand our consciousness and our reality in that realm.
But just like they try to say a man that turns into a woman is a woman, no, it's not. It'll always be a robot, not a human.
Agreed. Well, thank you all for tuning into the show tonight. Thank you for the last word, Owen Schroyer.
On Tuesday, in my address to a joint session of Congress, I asked Congress to eliminate the defense sequester and to support my request for a great rebuilding of the United States military and the United States Navy. After years of endless budget cuts that have impaired our defenses, I am calling for one of the largest defense spending increases in history. And by eliminating the sequester and the uncertainty it creates, we will make it easier for the Navy to plan for the future and thus to control costs and get the best deals for the taxpayer. We will give the men and women of America's armed services the resources you need to keep us safe. We will have the finest equipment in the world, planes, ships, and everything else. We are going to have very soon the finest equipment in the world.
Well, David, you confirmed Thursday that the U.S. conducted a series of strikes in Yemen since the raid that killed Navy SEAL Ryan Owens in January. What action did the U.S. undertake and what happened?
Well, it was quite a large air raid consisting of 20 airstrikes by both manned jet fighters and unmanned drones against several al-Qaeda base camps in central Yemen, a remote mountainous area. The strikes are believed to have killed several fighters and destroyed some weapons caches and equipment, and also killed one senior member of al-Qaeda in Yemen. Remember that commando raid in which Ryan Owens was killed was supposed to be the start of a stepped-up campaign in Yemen, and this raid was a particularly large series of airstrikes inside Yemen.
In the meantime, David, the White House is dismissing reports that Yemen raid you just mentioned did not yield any valuable intelligence. What are you hearing?
Well, it produced a 3-page summary of intelligence that was presented to Defense Secretary Mattis, and I'm told that although the intelligence contained there did not contain any smoking guns about specific terrorist plots, it did give clues to the kinds of plots that al-Qaeda is working on. Specifically, it mentioned and it had information about new types of explosives that al-Qaeda is working on and new tactics it's teaching its fighters.
And so, David, you touched on it a moment ago, but what is the status then of current U.S. operations in Yemen?
Well, I'd say this series of 20 airstrikes overnight is a pretty good sign that the commando raid did not derail this new campaign against al-Qaeda in Yemen. Whether or not there will be another commando raid anytime soon remains to be seen. But the fact is, you can't take down a terrorist network using airstrikes alone. Airstrikes can kill people, but they can't collect intelligence. You have to go in on the ground, collect laptops, collect cell phones, collect hard drives, get the intelligence off of those electronic media, and that is how you take down a terrorist network.
All right. National Security Correspondent David Martin at the Pentagon for us. David, thank you.
Sure.
The protests in South Korea have so far been largely peaceful. There have also been smaller demonstrations in China where the government's opposition to the anti-missile system South Korea wants to deploy is hardening.
We strongly urge relevant parties to stop the deployment of the THAAD system in order to avoid further damage to China-South Korea relations, as well as both countries' economic, trade and cultural cooperation.
South Korea's government believes the US-made high-altitude anti-ballistic missile system offers protection against potential North Korean attack. But China's leadership says it'll threaten the country's national security. In response, Chinese state-controlled media is urging consumers to boycott the Made in South Korea brand, everything from cars to soap operas. One target is Lotte, the conglomerate providing the land for the THAAD missile system base. Lotte operates more than 100 supermarkets in China. Some shoppers seem to be heeding the call to punish the company.
We should boycott. We should teach them a lesson. We Chinese people are not idiots.
Until recently, South Korea has been a popular tourist destination for Chinese visitors. When deployment of the missile system was first proposed a year ago, numbers began to fall. Now some Chinese tour companies are joining the boycott.
Given that our sales have dropped and we see less passers-by, I would say there has been about a 30 to 40% drop in the number of Chinese tourists.
While enjoying South Korea's hospitality, some Chinese tourists are still angry with their hosts.
This action has really affected our Chinese heart. So I think we Chinese people will surely take some actions in China to try to make this thing don't happen.
In China, trade and diplomatic disputes can sometimes turn violent, as happened 5 years ago when the government permitted protests outside Japan's embassy. China's leaders will not want this anti-South Korean sentiment to get out of control now for a very good reason. The annual session of China's parliament opens on Sunday here in Beijing, and they won't want any distractions. Adrian Brown, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Thank you.